Vocalo Radio, Chicago's only urban alternative, 91.1 FM. Nudia in the afternoon here with you, 3:13 on your clock. I have some special guests in the studio. I have the good girls right now. Hello.
Hello.
Chicago's very own. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Okay, so VITIGRRL, Lady D, and Lori Branch make up the good girls. We had to have you in for Women's Month. You know, we're highlighting all of the amazing, talented women in Chicago, and we needed to have you guys on.
Thank
you know,
you.
I sent out the DM. I slid in VITIGRRL's DMs. I was like, could we make this happen? This would be so awesome. Let me hear the story. Okay, so I heard Lori.
Yes.
You have the official account.
Well, listen.
Of how
I'm not the executive producer. That's the superstar DJ Lady D. In the house.
Oh, let me get the claps. Let me get the applause. I got the applause going.
Wow.
Yes. So I'll tell it as I remember, which was that Lady D talked to me and Hannah about being a part of a festival that she wanted to put on for just women called Good Girl DJs. And the meaning that not just good for a girl, because that's what a lot of male DJs say about female DJs. Not only in the house community, but any DJ community. Mm-hmm. Oh, she's really good for a girl, which is insulting, but sometimes they think it's flattering. I've heard it used. Somehow they think that's flattering. So
that's when you have to do the fake laugh, right?
Yeah. thank you. I think, and so I think, Lady D, you should take the story from here.
Well, I wanted to have a festival called Good Girls Fest for women and women identifying and gender nonconforming or gender fluid, or, festival that really highlighted women in music in all aspects, right? Not just performance, but, all the way down to security. Like, that was the vision that I was having. It's just really hard to throw a festival. And so when I started just trying to come up with, like, how would it be done? How could I get it done? It seemed a little more daunting than what I was ready for at the time. And but it's still something that is on my mind that is needed. And, somebody wants to help out with that. If you're listening, come on through. But at the end of the day, the thing that was occurring to me was that in 1997, I had this other female led women's DJ collective called Super Jane. And at the time we were just trying to put, demystify, this idea that women are DJs. And I would say like around 2017, 2018, 2019, I would be playing out and I was still getting people that would come up to me and be like, I've never seen a girl DJ. This is so cool. Da, da, da. And I was like, oh my God, we've come full circle. We've come to that point again where people just think that this is so new. And so the idea about the festival grew, and then reaching out to these two, I was like, we could be good girls, the good girls. And they kind of like, yeah. So the festival didn't happen, but a new collective of visibility and representation for women in electronic music formed out of that. So would you add to that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely shout out to public radio and radio stations because I
got the claps. I got the claps going in the background.
I was doing my master's at Northwestern in the Sound Arts and Industries program, and I had a radio show. At that time, I didn't have opportunity to play on CDJs much, and there was CDJs in the radio station, and so I decided that even if I wasn't great at it, I was going to make sure I took advantage of it and use those CDJs. And Lori's show, Vintage House, was right after my show. So she would come in there with these amazing guests who are pioneers and legends in different, areas of house music throughout Chicago and beyond. And I would just be banging the house music, playing. And I feel like she and these other folks kind of were curious, and a friendship and mentorship kind of grew naturally from that. And in another lane, I had been fascinated by Lady D and had asked to interview her for a podcast I was working on. So there was an organicness, and there was also just a genuine, like, a good friendship, good, like, we try and exemplify, I think, what we try to do as artists. Maybe the festival didn't happen yet, but I think we embody that in how we work with each other and how we work with other women and DJs. And that's kind of our origin story.
Yeah.
I love that, and I love seeing it because I know that I don't come from a city as big as Chicago. I came from Vegas, so there everyone, so like we all hung out with each other. We all we were in a collective. We just had like a big group chat, right? Like everyone just knew each other. But in a city like Chicago, it could be so hard to connect with other female DJs because there are like far and few and in between in comparison to the male DJs, right? And then you still get looked at like you're
Curiosity.
on display at the zoo, right? It's like look at that, and it's just like, oh my gosh, let's calm down. So when you created this collective, was the goal to do gigs together? Was the goal to like maybe produce something together, or was it just to like vibe?
Oh, good question. I think initially it was about, doing gigs, and we quickly saw like there's a lot that could evolve from this because of what Hannah said about our friendship, that there's a natural kind of evolution, to what the possibilities were. And I think we also represented something that's cross-generational, because I come from beginning early days when we were just like discovering a mixer, like disco and punk music that turned into the house movement, and Lady D is kind of like generation 2 after that, and then Hannah's relatively new to the field, so we saw ourselves also representing just a sense of representation that wasn't out there in any collective where you have people sort of across the spectrum that way. So I think lots could come. I mean, somebody's building a studio in their own place, so we're waiting.
Yeah.
Lady D is already a recognized producer, so
coming.
There's a lot happening.
I love that, and so I do have to ask this. I don't want to give out any specific dates, but I was looking at bios, and so when you were DJing in the late 1900s, we got the right?
Late 1900s. That sounds even worse.
I know. In the Victorian era.
We have and when you were DJing in the 80s and the 90s, this is pre-Serato, right?
Oh, yeah.
What was it like? Just because I don't know, probably VITIGRRL has never experienced either, but what was it like carrying crates to the club? I just want to know, you guys are kind
Not
of
only were
more
we carrying crates,
slim women, you guys are, petite little women.
and was more petite as a teenager. No, they were heavy, those. So you can not only carrying crates of records are very heavy. They can weigh like 60 pounds, 70 pounds easy, depending on how many records you can jam in there. But you also carried equipment. So you had to, we had this thing that was called a coffin that fit your 2 turntables and a mixer in there. And that was you should have seen me, at $110 trying to carry this thing that weighed as much as I did. It was tough. I do not miss those days, but I will say wax is making a comeback.
Yeah, I just remember running through the airport with a Shure bag full of vinyl. It's easily 80 pounds of vinyl on your back, trying to make your flight going to some gig, and that I don't miss. And then, we went from that medium to CDs, and CDs were slightly better, but not really, because you'd have a big book of them. You might have 3 books with you in your backpack. So it got a little bit better. But flash drives definitely the most convenient portal method for, transporting lots and lots of music. So playing, from that, I would say for me, it's made me a better foundational DJ to have come through all of those different mediums.
Ditto.
And then to be where I'm at now, where I can make my own choice about what I want to play and what I want to play on. So I do have my preferences, and I just put those in my rider, and people tend to honor that. So it's nice to have all of these changes. I think technology makes it better in a lot of ways.
And I love, Lori, what you said about the vinyl making a comeback. But it's it's cute now, because you could you don't have to take 4 crates to a gig. You're okay, I'm just
way
this
cuter.
one or 2.
Way cuter.
It's
you
a little,
just come out the purse
my little novelty spot, right?
Yes.
And they have cute, they don't have to be milk crates anymore, right? We could
Backpack, right?
I remember Lady D saying to me, though, because I think I was really trying to, learning vinyl, learning the controller, learning the CDJs, and I was really hesitant to play vinyl out. And I remember you just saying, it's not it's not being able to be an amazing DJ at one form and one form only. Like if something breaks, are you still a DJ? Can you pivot? Do you know how to play,
that I feel like that's
these
like
other things?
More than half. That's like 60-70% of it is troubleshooting, right?
Yes.
Is like thinking on your feet.
Right.
I panic immediately. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get fired. I'm gonna never
scary in
DJ
that
again.
moment. Yeah.
Making it work, like I remember just, slicing up tapes, putting the
That's
things
right.
together. Like when I first started, we used to hand out our mixes on cassettes. And so cassettes was, sometimes
Absolutely.
you didn't want to go back and re-record the whole thing. So you might just do your little edit
Yep.
and like you just slice your tape, put a little tape there and then like put it together. So many different things we've come through. And I do like being, just this ambidextrous kind of, like I've had all the experiences and, I say all loosely, but I've had a lot. And that I feel like that makes me a real well-rounded player.
Now, VITI Girl, I know you said you would see like or listen to Lori's show, or maybe like if you were seeing other DJs DJ. I know when you're first getting started, it's like, it could be rough, right? We got the shoes in the dryer, like things that happen. Like it's a minute till you get it, It's a minute till you get it, right? You're counting all the time. You look a little crazy. So for you, was it, seeing such great DJs? Because you live in like one of the biggest hotspots for DJs where like literally everyone is good. Not all cities are like that. Sometimes you could go out and you could see, some people make you mess ups, but like in Chicago, did that ever deter you, or did it ever bring you down? You're like, I need to be at this caliber. Like,
I think there was times that I've put like pressure on myself, but I think in some ways it's also been warranted. I've tried to look at it more as like reverence and legacy. It's like, what am I bringing to this conversation? How seriously am I taking this craft? Like if I'm going to get up there and play something in a city and in an art, in a Black art form that is so, important to our culture, how am I honoring that? How do I know the music? Do I know who this came from? Am I supporting local DJs? Now that I am a little more skilled, how am I passing that on to other folks? So there was definitely moments I feel like I was practicing in my bedroom for about 2 years almost until I finally was like, someone was like, you just got to do it, girl. It's time. Because I can be a bit of a perfectionist, but that's part of being in the mix. It's not always going to be perfect, but do you give up or do you figure out how to get those shoes like drying together? I don't know. You have to pivot. But definitely being influenced by so much great talent. And also a lot of people put time into me. I did different workshops. Shout out to Walking and Falling, another all-woman trans led lesson cohort. They did lessons at Smart Bar. I've been mentored by other DJs, Scratch Academy back in the day. So I really was a sponge.
oh my gosh, that's amazing. So you were a bedroom DJ for 2 years.
Well, about maybe a year and a half. I wasn't ready to put it out.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like Lori, Lady D, how did you guys learn? Were you just around it, or because there is this conversation amongst male DJs as well, and I think everyone agrees. Female DJs, when it comes to song selection, usually like it's just known the song selection of women just hits, right? It just hits different, okay? Because we're playing for females, in the room, and that's the main like goal of a club, right? So how did you two learn how to play?
Yeah, I wish I had a year and a half in my bedroom, but I had so much pressure. I think I had like 3 weeks before my first party, and I was in a social club like in 1980, and we had DJs. We actually hired the chosen few to play our parties, and this was like South Loop, whatever, warehouse days, whatever. And my guys who I was in the club with said, we would think you need to DJ. You collect a lot of music. You seem to like it a lot. Would you just learn how to do it? And they bought equipment for me and put it in my bedroom. And they were like, we have a party in 3 weeks. You got to be ready. and it's a battle.
It's like boot camp.
It's a battle?
And it's a battle. So your first party is a battle. Farley Keith will be there. Steve Hurley, Rare Sounds of Space. It was like all the popular DJs at the time. And, I was like, a battle? What? I don't even know how to blend two songs. But I had a good friend. His name is Louis Gomez. He's a great DJ and producer. And he tutored me. He sat there and he was like, this is how you do it. And then we would practice, me, him, Craig Loftus, and my buddy Jean-Pierre Campbell. And we would just go in and out of each other's tracks. And you'd be like, nope, you got to hit it on this beat. And back then you were using records. We didn't even have digital.
I was going to say, no, BPM, you were like counting out the BPMs at that point?
It was a little jazz, an improvisation, and a little bit of like counting. You had to, because the records weren't, they're not digitized.